All right, guys, it's time for the Next Level Guy Show, a men's interview, interest, and improvement-focused podcast featuring interviews with the greats from all industries to help you better your life. Each week, a new episode features an interview with one of the greats, covering all aspects of their story, from life hacks to tips and protocols that have allowed them to live life on the next level. We then highlight concrete action steps that you can use to improve your life. And now, your host, Ian Dawson Mackay.
Hello and welcome to the Next Level Guy Show. This is a podcast for men who want more from life, more strength, more clarity, and more control over who they become. Each episode, I sit down with athletes, thinkers, creators, and high performers to break down what it really takes to build discipline, master your emotions, develop physical and mental strength, and live with purpose. I aim to help you rebuild yourself from today to become the man that you wish to be. This isn't about motivation or hype. It's about real tools, honest conversations, and becoming the man your future self respects. Let's get into it. Meet today's guest, Andy Black, an elite Scottish strongman and world's strongest man competitor who proves that simple systems, honest brotherhood, and emotional control beat ego every time. Most people think that strength is just about numbers, noise, and ego. This conversation proves it isn't. In this episode, Andy breaks down what real strength looks like when no one's watching, the honest training partners who tell you the truth, the nerves that elite athletes still feel before big moments, the simplicity that beats overthinking, and the quiet motivation of building something that your kids will one day be proud of. This isn't a highlight reel, it's a raw look at discipline, accountability, pressure, legacy, and doing the work without needing applause. If you're stuck overcomplicating processes, chasing validation, or training hard without any real direction, this episode will reset how you think about strength, mindset, and what actually moves the needle to success and happiness in life. Let's level up and let's get to the interview. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
I appreciate you.
I've followed you now for so long. I mean, you've been one of the big names in Scottish powerlifting, but if you ever heard somebody describing you in the gym, what would you want them to say about the man that is in front of me?
If somebody was describing me in the gym, I think in the gym, me and my training partner Bob, we're always trying to kind of help people round about us. Whether it's, somebody's got a sore knee and you show them a wee trick to kind of warm up better. Probably just that, took a wee minute to try and help them. I think that would be the kind of main thing. I'm not overly fussed about people worrying about my lifts or my size or anything, but I think if, you can help someone maybe warm up and avoid a bit of pain, they'll probably appreciate that.
And what about your character? What about if you as a man, would you want them to say you're warm, friendly, approachable? Which I suppose you kind of answered in that.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think we're quite approachable anyway, so I would hope people do take that away. I don't think I've ever snubbed them in a gym. I've never not made time for someone, so I would like to think that they knew they could approach us, and if I could help them, I'd like to help them.
Because I think that's a big part of your appeal. It's that warmth, that friendliness, that what you see on the tin is what you're getting. Because I love how you swear in your stuff. You're a typical Scottish lad during your presentations and your stuff.
Yeah.
You're so effective. You just can't help but smile when we watch your content. But you made this amazing transformation you went from flabby to badass. What was the impetus to change that in your life when you made that initial change?
Honestly, it was just embarrassment. I think we all get in a slump, especially when you've got kids. You focus on them, quite rightly so. They become the you're everything. You focus on making sure they're eating, they're doing this. And I was just like eating unhealthy. I was being a bit of a grubber, eating shite at work, not making my PCs, going to McDonald's. And then, the kids wanted to walk up this big hill, like I think it's called Tinto Hill of Fire down in Lanark. It's this big, it's not a Monroe or anything, it's just a hill. And the first time we tried it, I couldn't do it. I probably made it 20 minutes up, and I was mortified. I was embarrassed. I was ashamed. My kids were barely fucking getting out of first gear, and I was out of breath. So I just knew a big change had to happen, and that's when I was 29, turning 30, and I thought, you know what, it's now or never. So I joined the gym, got started with that, just as a kind of weight loss, doing the treadmill and only really doing cardio, and the weight was coming off. And then I'd always kind of watched Strongman, and I thought, I'm going to give it a wee go. And it just kind of took off rapidly, to be honest. It was good. But the main catalyst, if I'm honest with you, was just embarrassment. I was embarrassed in front of my wife at the time. I was embarrassed in front of my kids. They continued on up this hill, and I'll never forget. I remember just like sobbing on the way back to the car, just feeling like, I'm so unfit. I can't even enjoy a hill walk with the kids. It was a low moment. Yeah.
It's quite amazing that you go from that to making other people cry on the podium when you get first place and you're beating them. It's because
not my year, not
well,
this year.
the transformation has been incredible. When you see the photos, you're like, no guy that size should be that muscular and that strong. But you competed in your first time, was it after 3 months of training? And how on
It was
earth,
round about that. Yeah.
what is it about that you just took to the sport? What is it about the sport that just you're
Honestly,
calling?
I just loved it. The minute I get going with Strongman, I knew, it was going to be something I'd done for a long time. It was going to be more than a hobby. I just took to it. I enjoyed the training. At the time, my guy Ben Badger was coaching me. He was Wales' strongest man at the time, Ben Brunning Badger.
Mm.
He was kind of just sending me a bit of a plan. I was just making do with some, like, I had a yoke and some stones at my workshop. And I just loved it. I had a real passion for it. My first competition, I was a bag of nerves. I was looking about going, fuck, he's a big guy. Fuck, he looks strong. You know, and luckily I won my first comp, and that was a kind of nice wee boost to kind of get me going. So I just kind of took it from there. Done an inters comp, and then I think I done 2 or 3 smaller comps, and then I started with the national stuff, and I went on to kind of Scotland's strongest man, etc.
So what did you take from that? That moment, like, I mean, I'm sure we've all been there when you're shitting bricks and thinking, oh God, that guy's massive. Oh, I don't know if I'm going to beat this guy here. I've never done this lift. What did you take from that initial competition that kind of put you on the trajectory?
If I'm honest, I think I took a little bit of, like, you're good at this, or you can be good at it, but that side of it never left me. I mean, if I go and compete tomorrow, I'll be nervous. I'll be like, fuck, he looks in good shape. Fuck, this. I'll be like, it's just, I think just part of my adrenaline response is just, observing everyone else and feeling nervous, especially like the week out before a Giants live show. I'm like vomiting every night. It's just, I get nerves. I mean, I'm not scared, and I know I've trained, and I know I'm prepared. It's just a kind of subconscious thing, I guess.
Have you ever tried that trick where you name your fear? You give it a name and go like, fuck off Hector or whatever, and I find it works for me because I get really bad social anxiety. But if I go, oh, get to bed, bell end, I'm off out, it finds it takes its power away but I mean, I've never pulled a 400 kilo deadlift in front of thousands of people. You do it like it's batter, and it's quite.
No, I
I think
mean,
it'll help a lot of people knowing people. You still get it.
100%. I get it. Especially every big lift in the gym, I have in my head, this is like a big moment, and somebody could be watching, and just make it count. I think that's the main thing. I remember Luke Stoltman just telling me to make it count at my first Giants live show, and that's kind of stuck with me. Just try and make it. Do your best. I don't think it matters, especially at any level. It doesn't matter if you win, lose, or draw. Strongman's a one-player sport. It doesn't really matter. But I think it's just fucking make it count, and do the best you can do that day.
And is that a big factor for it, that it's a one-man sport, but you have that brotherhood there, that kind of, you're all helping and encouraging each other, you're helping put on the wrist wraps, and even though you are competing against each other, there seems to be this bond between strongmen?
I think everyone, especially, at the smaller comps, I found it the opposite. Everybody was very out for their own a wee bit.
Mm.
And then as you kind of get into the national comps, yeah, I think everyone's just got so much respect for each other because they understand the sacrifice everyone's made to be there. Very few people are just lucky and got there as a fluke. People, you dedicate a lot of your time. You miss nights with the kids, you miss dates with a girlfriend, you miss work on some occasions. You miss a lot of your life to prepare for this and eat and train and recover and go to sleep rather than staying up all night drinking. And I think at that level, people just have a real mutual respect of, you've made it here. We don't need to make each other's lives difficult.
Mm.
And it is, although even if you go head to head in an event, really, you're not running against the guy next to you. You run against the stop clock. You could go in the third paving and the first guy could have been a cheater. The guy you're out with is slow, so you're not really racing him. That's just a visual thing for the audience. So I think it is a one-player game. You're against yourself. You can only do as good as you can do. But it's so refreshing at the bigger shows that everyone just has that real respect for each other. Yeah, it's a nice thing.
I love that, because it's something we don't really hear. We see the kind of the hugs and stuff on the backstage stuff, but we never really see the bond. And I think that's what's like World's Strongest Man's really helped with, is seeing the guys in the hotel, seeing you, conversing and training and doing the prep beforehand. But how on earth do you start preparing for this? I mean, I've done a bit of powerlifting, but I've never had to pick up stones at 120 odd, like farmer carries, and walk carrying them like wearing a kilt. I've never had to be as strong as a bull, but as nimble as a fox. And there's so many
Yeah,
different components. How do you plan for something where you've got to be strong, fast,
I,
quick,
I think I
balanced?
think it's just I think it's just training your strongman in general. I'm a big believer of in training my events. I don't go mega heavy. I train heavy in the gym. I do heavy deadlift, squat, press as heavy as I can on log, etc. But all my events were just always focused on speed. And most coaches I've had have always kind of it's worked for me. If I'm doing farmers, I don't necessarily if it's 150 in the comp, I'm not really touching 150 in the gym. I'm trying to make 125 move as fast as I can. I'm trying to build up those fast motor skills. I've always been good at moving with farmers and frames and stuff, and I think that's been down to not worrying about the weight of the implement. Because sometimes you see people training, and yeah, they think they need to train the weight, and they do it slow as a snail. But if you do it slow as a snail every week leading up to the comp, then that's your motor pattern on the day. You're going to be slow. Whereas if you're training 120 every week and you're getting faster and faster and faster and faster, on the day when you're full of adrenaline, you've got a crowd, you know, you've got that kind of extra comp day performance. You don't really need to worry about the weight, you know. So that's been my biggest thing, and I think it's something that a lot of people don't really appreciate, to be honest.
That's a great insight, because I mean, how many people think, oh, it's just lifting heavier and heavier than the next guy, which it doesn't always work. You do a plateau, you
Definitely not.
you fry your CRS and all that kind of stuff. Were you always like lifting heavy stuff when you were younger? I mean, I grew up around sheep, so we had the hay bales and stuff like that. So I got a wee bit of lifting when I
Yeah.
was younger. Where does your kind of rawness, your power come from?
I think just I was a plant mechanic in the quarries. I was lifting heavy parts and swinging hammers, fitting teeth to buckets. I think probably just my job because I mean genuinely rather, before I turned 30, I'd never really been to a gym. It's not something that interested me. It's not something that I thought later in life was going to interest me. So I think I just got my size genetically, and then I gained a bit of strength, not knowingly, just with the type of work I was doing, humping about gearboxes and engines and doing like hard manual labour sometimes. So I think that definitely played a big part.
I've worked in a quarry and I've seen some of those parts, and to think you were just throwing them around, it's quite crazy.
Uh,
Like,
it's free training, isn't it?
I suppose you're not having to pay a gym membership for it. And
Yeah.
you said there that you disliked the gym. What was it about? Like, how did you build into that habit where you now seem to be at peace in the gym? You seem you've missed, like you were saying, family dinners and stuff like that to train.
Yeah.
What kept that consistency, that motivation?
To be honest, I personally have always said it's more of like it's not a discipline, it's a habit. I think when you start going to the gym and you start seeing results, whether you're on a weight loss journey, whether you're on a strength journey, a bodybuilding journey, I think when you start seeing results, you get that dopamine, you get that, you know, addiction that people talk about. And for me, it was just that. And then once you build those habits,
Hmm.
I'm lucky I've got a training partner. I'm not going to go to the gym because he's going to be there expecting me. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I might have worked late last night. It's pissing me vein. I'm tired. I can't just not go to the gym because I'm going to let him down. He needs my help to train as much as I need his help to train. So I think I've always had training partners throughout my career, and that's helped a lot, especially on like the events days when you're humping about so much equipment. If you are all making use of it and you can all lift a little bit, to set it up,
Hmm.
things like that just made it so much smoother.
That's a really good idea. I mean, because a lot of people go to the gym, they try for balls to the wall for a few days, then they struggle and they go, "No, I'm not going back. Oh, I've tweaked."
I think, from honestly, my biggest advice for somebody is it doesn't need to really be a training partner. You just don't need to train together. But if you're starting your journey or you're feeling lost in your journey, try and link up with someone. You just go to the gym at the same time. That's all you need to do because it gives you that accountability. It gives you that, you know, they need me as much as I need them. Like if I message my training partner Bob and say, look, I can't train tomorrow, he might not train, and then that's affecting his goals.
Hmm.
So I'm not going to be selfish. I'm just going to go train tomorrow. I'm going to make it work, and then it's going to work out better for the both of us.
Because I think that's what a lot of people need is that as much of a external motivation as well as an internal.
100%.
And I mean, but I think a big thing I've seen in videos of you is like you're always keen to learn. You're always looking to go to that next level. And yes, I hate myself for saying that, seeing as the name of the podcast. Um, what is it? I mean, when you're pulling a 400 kilo deadlift like it's butter, a knife through a hot knife through butter, there's not much you can really learn, but you seem to always be looking for the wee nuances, the fixes, so you get the coaches, you get the help, you listen to the other competitors.
Yeah.
Is that as much that inspired you as well, having them kind of keep going
Honestly,
again?
what? Yeah, 100%. I've been very lucky. I've always worked with good coaches. Ben got me on a great start to my journey. Then I was with Andy Bolton for a long time. Um,
Great guy.
he really taught me not so much technically how to deadlift, how to train deadlift. He taught me what worked for my body. The style, like typically I would only lift one heavy lift in a session or one heavy set, and then lots of back downs and speed work. And that really worked for me, was his style of training.
Mm.
And then to focus more on the strongman, I was with MST, I was with Dale for a little bit, and then just now I'm with Sebastian Orb, which is obviously Thor's coach. And he's just took it, the technical side of everything is just, my deadlift was always very powerful and it was quite a wide stance. And then this year he brought my stance in, and obviously like my first run out with him, I got the Scottish deadlift record. 3 or 4 months ago I pulled 400 raw for the first time. And that's just like not getting stronger, that's just these small technical changes that he's made, and it's incredible.
When you look back, does that not terrify you when you go, I pulled 400 kilos raw? What was the sort of the small technical things? Are there things you would pick that would you say that would help all lifters? Like if I gave you these 3 tips for any lift or a particular lift, they would go amazingly better.
I would say, if we just stick to deadlift, if that's what we're talking about, I would say the best advice I got for deadlift was your stance, your starting stance. I used to be so wide, it would put my hips in the wrong position, the drive through my knee was at the wrong angle. Really worry about your start position more than anything else. My second biggest technical tip for deadlift would be, it's not a deadlift that makes your deadlift bigger. It's your RDLs, it's your squats, it's your deficits. It's the actual art of deadlift doesn't make you better at it, doesn't make you stronger. If you go into the gym and you pull 200 for 5 sets of 5, the following week you'll come in, probably pull 205 for 5 sets of 5. Whereas if you go away and you do 3 sets of 8 heavy RDLs, you do your deficit deadlifts, you do your high pulls, you do your squats, that's the stuff that really builds this power, this real power.
I love that because we all think like to get better at something, you have to do the movement. Is that what these kind of coaches have taught you? It's that technical setups. Have they helped you with like the warm ups, your cool downs, treating it more as a professional athlete approach?
Well, I would actually say, especially for deadlift, for me, the less deadlifting, the better. I've never found getting strong. If I do deadlifts, I just get tired. If somebody was to program me like German volume training on deadlift, it would just fuck me. Like,
They're
I've not got the
sadists if they
capacity.
did that.
Yeah, that as well. But I just always found that when I warmed up with squats, I was ready to deadlift. And then warming up for deadlift, I could pull, a couple of sets of 3 all the way up. And I would save so much in the tank. I've seen me, when I set the Scottish deadlift record in April, I done 5 warm-ups before that lift. We were late getting to the comp. I done a bit of bodyweight squatting. I done my knee warm-ups with a band. I done kind of some upper back warm-ups with a band. And then literally, I think the bar was sitting at 200. I pulled that for 3. They rushed me on to 250. I pulled that for 1. 300 for 1. 340 maybe. And then that was me. I was out to my first lift at 350. And it went smooth. It went good because I'm used to warming my body up, warming up, like truly warming up, and then going into my deadlifts and not having to worry about, pulling 100 for 10, pulling 140 for fucking 8, pulling 180 for another 6, and doing this mega volume to warm up. I was used to like touching the bar after squatting and doing minimal warm-ups. So it really just helped me save like 100% for that one lift that matters.
And how much was it the hat you were wearing? Because I remember you were in, was it a bucket hat? Did that give you an extra few kilos in your lift?
Do you know what it is? People will laugh at this. A hat irritates me. I don't really wear a hat in life. So when I'm lifting or lifting heavy or doing a heavy yoke, for example, I like to wear a hat because it irritates me. It makes me itchy, it makes me uncomfortable, and it makes me hurry up and do the lift so that I can get the hat off. It's just been a thing, and I don't know where it came from or where it started or how I noticed it. But I just know that if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do a heavy lift, I tend to do better if I've got a hat on, and I think it just pisses me off. So when I'm warming up and I'm getting ready, I get agitated by the hat. I'm not an angry person. I've never been one to like get angry to perform a lift. That's just not me. I don't have mad outbursts of rage in life. It's just not my style. So being that little bit irritated, I think just helped piss me off enough to kind of just give me that wee bit extra.
I'm going to have to try that. See if it gets my deadlift
Honestly,
over.
it's worth a tip. It's worth a try.
And was that a help turning up late? You know, like you were maybe stuck in traffic, that you got there and it didn't let the nerves settle as much, that you had to sort of rush it. People were pushing you to kind of get going in your warm up sets, that you couldn't go into, or did you train up to that point? You know, how do you prepare for a competition as much, or do you just
Oh
turn
no.
up?
So that day was just like me and my pal were going for a bit of fun. I probably turned up late because I wasn't giving a fuck. I think I ate a couple of donuts for breakfast. We were just
And
going to go and play at it.
and you
Um,
pulled the Scottish
and
record. Jesus.
yeah, it just felt right on the day. See, to be honest, the I wasn't going to. And when I got there, I thought Stephen from GBA had arranged it all with the organisers from I think is it the Irish Cup people. I'm not sure about the guy's name. He's a fucking strict ref. I'll tell you that. He's a strict ref. But yeah, Steve had arranged it, and he'd asked us to do it, and it was like, he'd asked us 6 months before, can I do it? And I was like, yeah, fucking sounds good, and I'll do it. And there was kind of like one of these things where life get in the way. I'd been deadlifting heavy anyway, so I thought, fuck it, I'm going to go. Grabbed my training partner, we drove through, fucking couldn't get parked. Parked, went into the wrong place. It was in like a university building. It
Okay.
was just, it was just one of these days. And we got there, and everyone was like in their kit, warmed up, ready to start log, and we were like, "Fuck!" So we just rushed it, had a good outing, and it just felt good. My intention that day was maybe to try and pull a good 400. I thought, see if I pull a good 400, I've I've um I've done what Stevens wanted me to do, turn up and do a good deadlift. I've not had to kill myself. And then I can't remember, I think I can't remember my jumps. I think I pulled like 350, 380, 405 or 410. And I remember just changing it and being like, fuck it, let's just go the record. Because it felt good on the day. It was a good setup. It was a good hype. It was a great crowd. Delroy McQueen was there. Stevie was there. We Dean McVie and everything. Mickey Wilson. It was just a good wee crowd. There was a good wee buzz, and I was like, "Fuck it, I feel good." You know, let's do it. And it moved. It moved okay.
I mean, moved okay is an understatement. It looked like it was nothing for you. You looked like, with a wee hitch at the end, you looked like you were just motoring through it. What was going
Yeah,
through your
I
mind
don't know.
during
I
that?
don't know. It did feel heavy.
I'm not surprised, because you think about. I mean, what's my current PR? I'm about 205, 210, and I haven't
Yeah.
been in the gym for a while, and I just think you're pulling that like it's nothing as a warm up. And that's terrifying.
I think for me though, my biggest takeaway in deadlift's always been Andy Bolton's speed formula, and he's just always said, you can pull heavy if you can pull fast, and that's really ingrained in me. And I've just always tried to think speed, speed, speed. If it comes off the ground, I'll get it going. If it goes above my knees, I'll fucking lock it out. So the faster it gets to my knee, there's less chance for my brain to go, fuck, this is heavy. And if it gets to my knee, I'll pull it. I've got quite a strong upper back. I've got obviously I'm a big fat cunt. I've got a big frame. I think that helps. So if I get it to my knee, I'm good,
I love how you're just like, yeah, if I just get 420 odd that pat to my knee, I'm fine. I think
No.
because to a lot of as normal people, we kind of just go, "Wow, I couldn't do that." But there's so much technical skill to these lifts. How do you work with like Andy? How do you work with your coaches, even with the ref, to kind of see a task like whatever event, and then reverse engineer it to say, "This is what I need to build up. This is what I need to work on it." Like you're saying, the deadlifts, it's the RDLs,
Yeah.
it's the squats. How do you work back from the comp activities?
I honestly think just go and compete. I've helped people and I've kind of coached people and worked with people, and they all want to be big and strong before they go and do a comp, and they just want to win it. But you learn so much in a comp day. You learn so much. Sometimes it's not a nice lesson. Like at Brits there, I fucked it. I tore done something. I don't know whatever it was a tear. I done something to my hamstring because I fucked up with the bags. But you learn by doing it. I'll never make that mistake again. I'll never make that mistake again. Next time I'm at Giants Live and it's a 150 bag, I'll buy the Mirror Fit bag. I'll make sure I'm training. I won't let that mistake happen. And I think that's a big thing people overthink or don't do. Just go and do a comp. You'll find your weaknesses. And then, for example, if you go and do farmers and you're too slow, well, you were strong enough, you just need to get faster. If you go and do farmers and your grip gives out, well, you were too slow and your grip wasn't good enough. Like we can fix that. Everything's fixable. Everything you can get better at. I mean, we're looking at guys like fucking Thor that's just pulled fucking, 500 odd kilos like it was butter. And there's no way now, and there's no way any man is going to say Thor's 3-4 times the man I am, or you are, or the next man is. Thor's a human being. He came out his mum's fucking fanny like the rest of us. Like, he's a human. He's a very genetically gifted, talented human, and he dedicates a fuckload of his time to be one of the strongest humans he can. But he's still just fucking water, blood, muscle, and bone like the rest of us. So I genuinely believe if everyone just goes and does it, tries what they try, go into the gym, try and deadlift. If you fail it, show someone a video, show a coach a video, show someone else in the gym a video. If they give you a few tips and then you go back and you get a bit stronger, someone else gives you a few tips, before you know it, you've probably doubled what you started with. So I think it's just the act of go and do it. Don't worry about getting better yet. Just go and fucking make a start and then it will come,
I love that. It's like, because I think that's a good reminder as we all think, oh, these are superstars I can never be like. And, we put people on pedestals. And like you're saying, we all
Yeah,
come
I
at
mean,
the same
I'm
place.
guilty of that too, for sure.
How do you work on that? Like, how do you stop comparing yourself to others and just see the guy that you're racing against, like in the mirror?
I honestly don't know the answer to that. If I'm brutally honest, I mean, if I was going to a show, for example, World's Strongest Man, when I was there, I was competing against Brian Shaw. I was in the same competition as Brian Shaw. It's no secret he's been my idol through this whole kind of journey. And I don't think I would ever be able to take him off the pedestal. But I think when the whistle blows, it's all about you. You know, it's all about you. When that whistle blows, a typical event, 60 seconds, maybe 90, be selfish, you know, take that 90 seconds for yourself and just do the best you can fucking do. And then when it's over, if you fucking done amazing, awesome. If you done shite, who gives a fuck? Because you're still doing what 98% of the world can't do. You know, I used to laugh sometimes when I'd get a call up to a Giants live show and people in the comments would write, he's shite. He's only got a 1 fucking 60 log. He's shite. He's fucking, he can't do this. Listen, you fucking daft buggers. I was at World's Strongest Man. Not even 1% of the world gets to go there. Don't you sit in your house talking shite about me. Like, come and do it. Come and do it. And then we'll see. But you know, just go and do it, I think. And I think that's what some people forget. And that applies to more than strongman. That applies to business. I've just started another business here. And I was nervous and I wasn't sure. And I thought, fuck it, we're just going to do it. Because that's what got me through strongman. You know, it don't matter who anyone round about you is. Just go and fucking do it. You know?
I think that'll help a lot of people because that is a big thing. Is you hear people say that no one who's above you will be talking down to you. It's only the people who are lower than you. You know, it's the ones who.
Oh, 100%.
How many people
100%.
love to see you come into the gym? How many people love to see you doing well? But the people who don't, what's the point? You know, why do we care?
100%. 100%. I used to worry and I used to feel guilty sometimes. I mean, I can't remember this exact show. It was a Giants live show, and I get the call up, and people were saying they felt someone else should have got it. And I almost felt a bit guilty as if, you know, fuck, maybe he did deserve it better, or maybe I didn't earn it. And then now I look back and I think, what a fucking soft cunt. Why was I giving a fuck about that other guy? Because he sure as fuck would not have been sitting in his house giving a fuck about me. He wouldn't have been sitting in his house going, oh, that's shame, I get the call up. Andy maybe should have deserved it. Do you think when you win the lottery, you go, oh, somebody lost out on £1 million, one digit behind you? You don't think about them. You celebrate your wins. And honestly, I think we're in a world now where people are sometimes almost too shy to celebrate your wins. Go and celebrate them. See if you fucking pull a 5 kilo PB in the deadlift and you want to post it on Instagram and tell everyone, go and do it. Who gives a fuck? Celebrate every win you've got. You know, and I tell my kids that, I celebrate everything. You know, if you're doing good at something, enjoy doing good at it. Enjoy the dopamine. Enjoy the feeling of success. I spent a long time almost feeling guilty for it, and I'll never do that again. I'll never do that again. And when I come back to Strongman this year, I won't feel guilty beating anyone. I won't feel guilty celebrating. It will just be all for me because I'm the one that done the work. You know.
It's time for a quick break. There are millions of potential products to buy, so how do you know which ones are worth your hard-earned money? Simple. You go to nextlevelguy.com/affiliates and explore those that will transform and improve your life. You'll find deals, listener exclusives, and special offers with some great companies. Recommendations are 100% honest and only on items Ian has tried or believes in. The companies showcased will make you a better man in all areas of your life. Simply go to nextlevelguy.com/affiliates and level up.
Yeah, so you were saying about the having like honest people in the gym. I mean, is that the thing we need to be called out by our brothers to kind of push us to?
100%. 100%. You know, if you look at any other sport, you know, like tennis, for example, they guys are training 7 days a week. They're out, they've got 5 or 6 different coaches for different things, you know, their speed coach, their power coach, their gym coach. And they were all calling them out, saying, look, you're not fast enough today, you're not strong enough today, you're not quick enough today, blah, blah, blah. So I think if you're training with someone and you're warming up for a big deadlift and he says, mate, you're not fast, you're slow, and you need to like wake up, then, you know, that's what's going to happen. You're going to wake the fuck up and you're going to dig in. If you go and do a comp and your coach sits you down at the end of it and goes, oh, I think you done really well, you know, you done great in all 5 events, and was that it? There's nothing I can improve on. No, you need somebody to be honest with you and say, mate, your conditioning was shit, you know, you were out of breath, or your deadlifts were sloppy. If you neatened that up, you could have got the extra 2 reps that could have won the event. You know, I just think tough love, you know, just honesty. Just somebody honest with you when you're warming up, when you're competing, just saying, like, you can do better. Somebody that knows you, that trains with you and says, look, I know you can do better. And I think that really, really is a massive help for me personally.
Do you think that's probably a part of why there's been such a Scottish dominance in the powerlifting and strongman scenes recently? Whereas we lift heavy, we come from tough places with shitty weather and shitty conditions. So you have to grow up to be big and strong, but also that we call each other cunts as a sign of endearment. We push
I
each
think
other, but
so.
we also talk to each other like giving what you need rather than this false bullshit that you see elsewhere.
I honestly think so. I mean, like, you know, I think in Scotland the language can be quite harsh. So you obviously just take that as an example. The language is quite harsh, so you're quite adapt to that. So if some fucking jihadi terrorist was on a plane and he's going, fuck you, you cunt, you're not going to go, oh, he's just called me a cunt. You know, my mum calls me a cunt. You know what I mean? I'm not obviously overly petrified. So if we put that into scenarios of everything else in life, I'm a big believer of when you train hard, you fight easy. You know, Muhammad Ali said it, you know,
Yeah.
something like that. It makes sense, you know, if you go to a gym and you've got to unload the sandbags and take them outside and do your training and then put them away. See in the comp day when they're sitting at the start line and all you need to do is move them 20 metres. Fucking hell, it's easy, isn't it? In Scotland, like you said, we've got the fucking worst weather. Gyms are cold. Everybody's opening gyms in old factories, big cold warehouses. You go into a gym with your shorts on, your socks pulled up to your balls, you know, 5 years cuddling around a heater in between sets. So then when you go to fucking OSG in Texas and you've got the heat and that's fucking hell, this is easy, you know?
How did that happen though? Like, when if you think about it, you've done these competitions and smaller crowds. You've worked in some of these cold ass places and lifted like with your mates and that, and then suddenly you're on the sidelines as a last minute replacement in the world's strongest man, and they're going, actually, we need you to compete. How have you gone from standing, watching, taking part, like absorbing the atmosphere, to shit, I've got Brian Shaw in front of me competing?
That was probably one of the most exciting and scary things in my life, if I'm honest, because obviously they took me out as an equipment tester. I tested the bus pool, the grip event, some bits and bobs. I had no real inclination that I was going to be competing. Jerry Pritchett was there. He was also reserve. So I kind of had in my head, well, if they need someone, they'll use Jerry, you know. And then obviously there was a mishap with Pa. He couldn't compete. I just remember Dan Sadler being like, all right, mate, you're competing tomorrow. And I was like, fuck off, are you serious? And I literally was, yeah, I know you're never going to say no. But I just wasn't, for me, it was scary because I wasn't best prepared. They only gave me like 2 weeks' notice that I was going out to America. You know, I was trying to train, but on 2 weeks' notice, you're not going to do anything special. And then I was testing the equipment, and fuck me, everything felt heavy. I remember testing things, thinking this feels heavy. And when I got the shout to go in, it was just like, who gives a fuck, you know? Even if I'm last, I'm the last 30th strongest man in the world that year. Who gives a fuck?
Exactly. It's like you said, only 1% of the world will probably get a chance to compete.
It's not even. I think somebody had worked it out one day, and it's like 0.00 point, 0.7% of people that get to go and do this, get to actually have the privilege to go and do this. So some little guy, who's never even won Scotland's Strongest Man, writing on a group chat, Andy's shite, just doesn't bother me anymore. And I think it's just like, it's just do the work, be proud of what you've done, enjoy your journey, and celebrate your successes.
I love how you can do that. It's that because there's so many people going, "Oh, Billy pulled more than me. Sandy did that." Whereas you're kind of like, pull against yourself, do it for yourself. Then I get your friends to say what you need to work on for the next one. Do you think
100%,
we? Do you
honestly.
think we overcomplicate it? That we.
Oh, obviously, everyone does. Everyone does. Look at these, novice lifters that are hiring £300 a month coaches and nutritionists, and they're spending a fortune on recovery and the best of meat. Like, you're not Brian Shaw. You don't need all that. You just don't. Go and do it because you enjoy doing it. Don't do it because it's a chore and you need to spend all night cooking and all night getting a hot tub ready, then all morning getting a cold tub ready. You're not that. You're not Evan Singleton. You're not Brian Shaw. You're not Eddie Hall. At most levels, just do it because you fucking enjoy it. Do it because you enjoy the training. You enjoy the chat with the guys. I think simplifying things is the way forward. Honestly, so many people just now, you know, people ask me sometimes in the gym, they're training away and like struggling to put on weight, and they're like, "Do you think I should hire a nutritionist?" No, I think you should just fucking go and eat more food. Do you know what I mean? Like, no,
It's a
I don't.
good point.
Just go and fucking eat food. You're not gaining weight, eat food. You're gaining too much weight, eat less food. Yes, a nutritionist is an amazing thing to have, and if you're at a point in your career where you're willing to like really try and get that extra percent out yourself, go and do it 100%. But I think for 95% of people, just enjoy the journey. See, if you want a Big Mac, go and fucking have it. Just count it into your calories that day, just simplify things for sure.
Because just now you'll have people sitting there going, "Oh, but I need my foam roller. I need my this. I need my that." And
Oh,
how often do you see these guys like weight belts on when they're doing like curls with a dead?
oh,
And you're just like,
honestly,
what the?
honestly, it's crazy.
So if you
But
had
do you know
that
what?
magic, oh sorry,
On you go, there you go.
I was gonna say if you had that power, that magic wand, what would you say to everybody? What would you tell them or make them do differently?
Enjoy yourself. Really enjoy yourself. I think that's something we've lost in the sport sometimes, and I think sometimes I was certainly guilty of putting so much pressure on myself that I didn't enjoy the experiences I was having. If I'm brutally honest, some of the Giants live shows I done, I just felt sick and anxious the whole time because I
Mhm.
was worried about trying to do the best I can do. Whereas if I just relaxed and enjoyed the day, I might have done better, I might have done worse, but I would have enjoyed the day a lot more. So really, that's all that matters in 2 years' time when I look back. You know,
And have you worked on that, like that controlling of your emotions? Like because I'm assuming you'll be used to that thing of your body screaming, "Fuck, this is heavy, put it down." But how do you deal with the nerves, the comparisons? Have you worked on that with a sports coach, or
I
have you
did.
figured out?
Yeah, I was working with Amelia at Cerebral Strength for a long. for about a good 6 months to a year. And I think the biggest thing she taught me was just to accept it. Like, it's okay if I'm nervous. It doesn't mean I'm going to be any worse tomorrow. It's just my body's way of dealing with it, you know? There was some minimal coping mechanisms, like, just taking a minute to myself, and even if it was just something daft, like saying the alphabet in my head, just something to ground me for 2 or 3 minutes. But it's okay to be nervous. If that's how my body produces adrenaline, then that's how it's going to do it. So embrace the nerves, be nervous, but enjoy the day. Don't put so much pressure on yourself. And I think that's the biggest takeaway is you can be nervous without putting pressure on yourself. You can enjoy the day. Just enjoy the day. Whether it's a novice competition, world's strongest man, a powerlifting meet, just enjoy the day because you've sacrificed the time, you've spent the money, you've done the hard work. This is your day to put it all together and enjoy yourself.
I think that's really helpful because it's a lot of people think it's just going balls to the wall in the gym, but they forget it's all the other things about that voice in your head going, "You're shit, you're worthless," and where we
Yeah.
need that kind of. But we also don't track our own wins. Like you're saying, celebrate your small wins, even if no matter how small
Celebrate
they are.
everything. Celebrate everything. I'm a big believer in fucking celebrate everything. I don't care if it's an axle deadlift PB or a stiff deadlift PB. Be proud of it. I'm not saying you need to fucking expect a certificate or a pat in the back from everyone around you. Nobody, don't expect anyone else to care, but you be happy about it.
No.
And I think that's a big change in my life in the last year of I don't need your validation. Do you know what I mean? If I walk into a gym and I know I've never done for example, I've never done a 400 kilo axle deadlift. If I walk into the gym tomorrow and pull 400 kilo on the axle, I'm going to be fucking buzzing. I might post it on Instagram, but I don't give a fuck about Andy's validation. I don't need Andy to be like, "Oh, Andy, that was amazing." I'm happy. I'm fucking over the moon.
As you
I've
should
just
be.
done it. I know what it took to do it, so I'm fucking happy.
Yeah.
But I think that was the biggest change was before. I think I needed reassurance from people, and I would do a lift, and I needed the reassurance. Like, was that okay, or was it not good enough? Should I be doing more? Whereas now I've got a real mindset of, see if I go into the gym and I feel like shit, and I can only pull 200 kilos, and I know I felt like shit, and I was maybe up all night being sick, and I didn't eat, and I pulled 200 kilos feeling like shit. Fuck it, I'm okay with that. Like if that's what I done that day, cool. But I think the big thing for people, and I see it in the gym so many times. Little guys ask my bench. I don't have a big bench. My bench is like 180. Now for a guy my size that's been at World's Strongest Man, a 180 bench is in that locker room embarrassing. And they wee guys are like, fuck, that's amazing. So is your 110 bench. So is your 120 bench. Because I'm fucking 200 kilo. You know what I mean? Like, don't give a fuck about my lifts. Just what are you lifting, and let's be fucking happy about that.
Because I interviewed Monster Michael Todd, the arm wrestler, and that's
Yeah,
what he
yeah,
said. He said he used to struggle and focus on wins only, and then he realized at the end of the day he's going to say to his wife and his mom and that, "Oh, I won. Oh, congratulations. Oh, I lost. Oh,
hundred
commiserations."
percent,
And he's saying that
100%.
but he realized he's still going to have a wife who loves him. He's still going to wake up the next day. He's still going to have grandkids who he loves and gets to spend time with. I think we focus on the lifts, the numbers, rather than how we're feeling. Does it make our trousers feel a bit looser? Are we going upstairs easier? When you look
Yeah,
back at this journey, you did all these amazing things. At what point did you think I'm going to complicate my life by starting a bodyguard agency?
yeah, no. It just I th- do you know what I think it is? I think when you become a certain stage of an athlete, you almost become unemployable. You know, you're so set in your ways. You want to eat the food when you're due to eat it. You want to train when you want to train. And see fitting that into someone else's 9 to 5 that they need productivity out of you, it just doesn't work. So I think sometimes if you're going to go and do a sport or, you know, take a hobby a bit further than a hobby, if you're in a position where you think you could be self-employed, it's probably going to actually make your life a wee bit easier because you're going to not be fighting for days off work. There's going to be other struggles because you're going to need to earn money. You're not going to get sick pay. But in general, it's that like accountability of, right, I'm going to go to World's Strongest Man and I know I'm not going to make any money at work, but I've worked for a year for this, so I'm going to go and enjoy it. Do you know what I mean?
Pulling out chicken breasts like every couple of minutes, and they're going, "No, we need you to do that spreadsheet," and you're like, "Wait a minute here, I need my protein." Like it's,
Yeah.
I
It's
still
hard.
get
It's hard
strange
to be.
looks with the picnic bag, you know. It's
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
and how have you juggled that? You know, like you've got the missus, you've got the kids, you've got the business, you're competing, you're having to train, you're having to eat, you're having to do your recovery. How on earth do you juggle all these things?
I mean, it's difficult. You know, like security for me is such a trade-off because it gives me time, but it takes up a lot of time. So if I'm busy at work that day, I'm busy at work. You know, I'm not getting near a gym, and I'm just going to have to eat what I can eat. But if the next day I'm quiet, I can train all day. I can cook food. I can see my kids. It's those trade-offs, and it's like everything in life. It gives me more control to make my own decisions of how big I want those trade-offs to be. But there's always trade-offs. You know, like for example, today we were at a job fair. We were down in Greenock with stuff we had to do. You know, I didn't train today. I probably didn't eat the best today. I drank a few extra protein shakes. I made the best I could do. Today wasn't a very strenuous day on my body. So, although it wasn't active recovery, I've certainly recovered. I feel fresh. It just means tomorrow I make sure I get up early, I have a good meal when I go to the gym.
It's like you're
You know,
saying,
it's
don't
just
overcomplicate it.
don't overcomplicate it. Today was a fuck up. Who gives a fuck? Bash a few protein shakes. Accept the fact that today's now a rest day that wasn't planned. Tomorrow's another day. 365 days in a year. You know, not every one of them's got to be perfect, and not every one of them needs to be perfect. Just do the best you can.
And for those listening, I mean, what would you say if you had to if you had to look at all of this? You know, how has becoming a father changed you? If you had to look back at it, like over the last 10, 20 years of your training, from the kid that you were to the man you are now, how is competing, training? You know, is there a lesson that you would give people that you could sum from that to say, this is the key thing I've learned, or is it just enjoy the journey
Yeah,
and don't overcomplicate it?
I think enjoy it. Enjoy it. Try, and if your kids are remotely interested, try and see if they can enjoy it with you. You know, there was definitely times where I went myself to a competition and I just wished I took my kids or one of my kids or, you know, my youngest daughter, she's really into it. She loves it. And it's the trade-off. Like, yeah, if I take the kid, it's going to mean less focus. But am I going to be more relaxed because I've got my kid there? For example, I'll be honest with you, I want to win Scotland's Strongest Man next year. And it's not because I want to be Scotland's Strongest Man. It's because I want 3 trophies, one for each of my kids. That's what I want. It's nothing to do with the title. It's nothing to do with the Giants Live invites. I want 3 Scotland's Strongest Man trophies because I want each of my kids to have a Scotland's Strongest Man trophy. I don't care if they don't want them. tough shit. I want to give them. I don't care. I want them to have them because one day, right now they're young and they maybe don't care, but one day I think they'll realise, fuck, my dad was Scotland's strongest man. Not every kid in school saying that. Not every
No.
date they can go on is going to have that as a conversation. Not every wedding speech has got that involved. But I want them all to have a Scotland's Strongest Man trophy. And I will fucking do my best to make sure I get one more trophy so that all my kids, whether they get them when I'm fucking dead and gone, whether they want them in their house when they move house, I don't care. It's something for me that I want them to have.
I love that level of motivation. It's just I want to have a legacy to give to my kids because yeah,
That's,
how many
that's, that's what it is, you know?
how many times do you
There's
hear that?
no, yeah,
I don't mean how many
the
times do you hear
legacy.
that in a fight? Oh, my dad's tougher than your dad, and you're like, well, my dad's one
No.
world's strongest man and has a bodyguard agency. What are you gonna do about it?
My,
That's
my daughter loves it. You know, my youngest, she's only 10. And she's always like, when I pick her up for school, she's always like, I was telling my kid, my friends, you're a bodyguard. If they're cheeky, you'll just batter them. And do you know what? Fucking go on, because my dad would have fucking killed anyone for me. See, when I was a kid,
Mhm.
I can remember a teacher being a horrible bastard to me one day. I mean, the guy was a horrible bastard. And I went home and told my dad. I remember the next day I was walking through the halls and I thought, fuck, that guy looks like my dad. And it was my dad going in to fucking chin this cunt. He went in and he tuned this 40-year-old man right in. And he was a proper dad. Don't ever fucking speak to my son like that, you fucking baldy bastard. I'll fucking kick your cunt, you know. He gave this teacher the riot act.
Hmm.
And I just always remember thinking, my dad's cool as fuck, and I love the fact that my daughter thinks or knows. It's not even thinks, but knows that if somebody's giving her shit, I'll go and batter their dad. You know, that's what you'll do for your kids, and I like that.
I mean, I would say you're in the running for James Bond as well because I've seen the pictures of you in the suits, and wouldn't take much for you to get into that.
That's a, I don't think I don't think Slater's had enough material, but they got us one.
Well, I've got to wear a kilt for my brother's wedding, and I'm just like, it's like a tarpaulin at the minute. So, I'm just like 6'3",
Oh,
and I'm quite overweight at the minute, and I'm just like, oh, I can see their eyes go, oh Jesus, here we go. But how has that changed you now for your goals? Because you are the brand, you're creating business, you're having to look after customers and that. But you're saying you want to do strongman comps and stuff like that. What's next for you?
I, my next is just focus on winning another Scotland's Strongest Man. Obviously, I had to withdraw this year. I want to get this wee hernia surgery done. It's been in the background for the last kind of 18 months. I'm kind of finally now in a position where I'm going to go and get it done. So I'll need to do the qualifier in April. So I'll go and I'll do the qualifier, and then I'm just going to look forward to the final. And I'm just not going to set myself up for too much next year. Just focus on maybe a big deadlift, Scotland's Strongest Man, and then the rest of the time is like family and work. So I'm just not going to bite off more than I can chew.
You're not going to overcomplicate it. You're going to focus on what makes
Keep
you
it
happy.
simple.
Perfect.
Just keep it simple, you know.
Well, I think we're going to have you back on to focus on like how you prep and how you prepare for that because coming up to something like that is going to be
Anytime. No, it's
amazing.
been great. It's been nice talking to you.
What would you say to people who want kind of a summary of this or a motivation or a challenge to go forward?
I would say whether it's strongman, business, a relationship, anything, just make a start. Just start. Whether you're starting at the bottom to work your way up, or whether you're able to start a wee bit further, just start. Honestly, it's the biggest thing for me. I've been nervous about things in my life, and see when you start it, the ball starts rolling. You build momentum, and if you can keep that momentum going, you'll do whatever you want. So just grow a pair of balls and give it a go, you know.
I love it. And how can people keep in touch? How can we follow you on this journey? How can we see you compete and, to come to the gym and get coached, etc.?
Yeah, I mean, just my Instagram's just Andy Black. I don't do coaching or charge anymore. If you want to come and train, you're more than welcome to come and train. I train in a fantastic gym, Muscle Hut in Falkirk. It's got great equipment. It's got everything I need. If you want to come and train deadlift, come and train deadlifts. If you want to come and do log, come and do log. Just message me. You know, the more the merrier. It's not an issue. Pop along. I think it's like £5 for a day pass. That's all it'll cost you.
Well, that's it for another week, and thank you for listening. It's now time to take what you've learned and use it to develop and enhance your life with the key points mentioned. Listen, try it, embrace it, use it, and crush it. Now's your time to hit that next level in your life. If you liked this episode, then please leave a comment on the show notes or a review of the show on your podcast platform. Everything helps evolve the show. Until next week, keep seeking the next level in your life.